will try to do this as fast as I can, not too fast. But my name is Michelle. I work for the Kern County Sheriff's Office with the Crime Prevention Unit. And then we're going to be going over predators today. It's going to be touching topics on internet safety, and it's also going to be touching topics on human trafficking and teen dating violence. So let me go ahead and share my screen and get started. Alrighty. Are you guys able to see my screen, or does it show my PowerPoint?
We're seeing your PowerPoint only.
Okay, are you able to see my regular screen now, or my PowerPoint still?
Just the presentation mode of the PowerPoint.
Okay, perfect. I am so sorry. You would think I would know how to do this right away. Been doing it so many times already. Okay, so let's get into it. So the type of predators that we are going to be talking about today are not these predators, although they are similar to the ones that we are going to be talking about in the sense of that they try to prey on their victims. So these are the type of predators that we're going to be talking about today. The predators that are in relationships. Is the translator in yet? I don't know if she wants to step in.
Unfortunately, I'm calling. She has not joined us yet this evening.
I see. Okay. Alrighty. So some of the topics again that we're going to be going over are internet safety, human trafficking, and teen dating violence. So there's predators in internet, there's predators in human trafficking, and then there's predators in dating. So we always like to do this little exercise with our students and adults. So we always let everyone know which of these four look like a predator. A lot of the hands end up being raised for number 3, although it could really be any of these. So it's funny that a lot of students and even adults think that number 3 looks more of the general predator that you would think of, but actually it could be any of these. So recognizing online predators are usually male, but they're not always male. They are some females. They're honest about their age. They target both females and males, so it's not always the females that they target. They're clear about their intention. They're attracted by risky behaviors, which we're going to be going over in the next slide. And they groom their victims, which we will also be diving into as well. And this is in Spanish. I am horrible at Spanish, so I do apologize for my Spanish speakers that are attending today. So some risky behaviors are posting rude or mean comments, talking about adult subjects, visiting adult websites, and sending inappropriate photos or videos or text messages, which is sexting. The 9 ways predators groom their victims is they start off by flattering their victim. They let them know how pretty they are or how handsome they are. And then they go into sending them gifts. So whether that's really expensive gifts, which is the usual, to little gifts. It's always good to keep an eye on our kids to make sure if you see something out of the normal, if you see your child with any kind of new device or clothing that they really wanted that you weren't able to provide for them, make sure you keep an eye on that, because those are red flags. They spend time and agree with everything that they say. Let's say the student tells them, oh, the sky is green today. They'll go ahead and agree with everything that they say. So they'll be like, oh yes, of course, this guy is whatever color you want it to be. They'll send private messages to them and will want to DM them as well. So that could be on social media. And then it'll move into trying to get their phone numbers. They'll tell them how much they like their victim right away, and they'll want to isolate the victim away from their family and their friends. So they just want to isolate them so that way they could keep them to themselves, which is another red flag to look out for. If you see your student acting out of the normal or being more secluded from everything else, then you make sure that you keep an eye on that. They talk about adult subjects, and then they ask for pictures or revealing images, and they use those pictures or revealing images that they get, and they use that to blackmail them eventually. So there is a case that happened maybe about, I want to say it was sometime last year. It was pretty fresh. I'm sure maybe most of you have heard of it, but it was of a student who was, I believe, 13 or 12. She was pretty young. And she ended up going through this exact, all of these steps that you see here, textbook, what a predator does. He did exactly that, and she ended up getting killed by him. Has a translator showed up yet, Joshua? I just don't want to keep going if she showed up. I'm gonna keep going. And so sexting is a sharing of nude or suggestive semi-nude pictures or videos. So if the students don't know already, you can get in trouble if they find out, of course, and it is against the law. And we always want to remind them that it is permanent. I know it's kind of obvious, but sometimes we really don't think about that. It's always going to be in the internet once it's on the internet, because you don't need permission to send anything out to other people. So let's say they think that they have such a good relationship with their boyfriend or girlfriend at the time. They don't know if they send them over to any of their friends or post it anywhere. And once it's out there basically. And images can be used for blackmailing or bullying, just like how we went over in the previous slide. So what do you do if you witness that? Stay in the know, make sure to check your child's phone. Don't allow social media if you are not on that platform. So if you don't already have your child on social media, whether that's Instagram or Snapchat, Twitter, whatever social media platform they're using at the time, it's best to not allow them to have it if they don't have you as a friend on there.
Anaí, vamos hacer ejercicio hoy?
And you save the evidence. If someone is blackmailing or bullying your child, save the evidence, screenshot it, save the text messages, phone calls, whatever it is, make sure you save all of that, because it is important to make a report with all that information to report the predator. So what's considered too much information, especially when dealing with the internet? Make sure your kids aren't posting any of their locations. I know that you're able to tag the location on certain pictures on there, on the photos, and posting their address anywhere. I know it's common sense things, but sometimes they don't think about that. Another important thing that you might not realize is make sure that when you guys are posting, especially even parents, when you guys are posting any photos with whatever school the child goes to, don't post it at all, just because those are huge targets that the predators use in order to find out more information of what the kid does on their everyday lives, basically. Even if you guys have your profiles on private, they can still get that information anywhere, just like how we talked about earlier, where someone can screenshot it and post it somewhere else, or word of mouth. It's always important not to post too much information.
And then Ms. Garcia,
Yes.
one of our counselors amazingly stepped in and
Perfect.
offered to translate for us.
Great. Did you want me to backtrack a little so she could kind of zoom through and catch up to me?
Yvette, could you perhaps ask the parents real quick what they would like?
Yeah, sorry, there's a little kid around me, so don't mind the noise. Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Yvette Ruiz, soy la consejera académica del grado 8 de Wonderful. Voy a estar traduciendo en español. Si alguien no entendió, podemos regresar al inicio para poderles traducir la presentación, o así está bien. ¿Quieren que regresemos al inicio?
Sí, por favor.
Yeah, if we can go back to the beginning.
All right, no problem. And then I'm not sure if Mr. Hardman let you know, but some of these are translated. It's about half of them that are, the rest are not. So I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Okay.
We'll start here.
Buenas tardes. Hoy se trata de temas de depredadores y en esta información se va a estar hablando de la seguridad en las redes sociales, de las tratas de personas y de violencia en el noviazgo. Depredadores en línea. En esta foto, si mira a estas personas, ¿quién cree que sería el depredador?
And then usually they'll say that it looks a lot like number 3. However,
Yeah.
it could be any of these. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a parent that said number 3.
Okay.
Sí. So la mayoría escogerían el número 3.
But it could be any of these 4.
Pero puede ser cualquiera de las 4 personas. Reconociendo depredadores en línea, generalmente son hombres, honestos sobre su edad, se dirigen a niñas y niños atraídos por comportamientos riesgosos y manipulan a las víctimas. Comportamientos riesgosos quiere decir como hacen comentarios groseros o maliciosos, visitan sitios para adultos en línea, hablan de temas de adultos y comparten contenido o fotos inapropiadas.
So these are all targets that predators see if students are doing any of these.
So, estos son comportamientos que los estudiantes no deberían de estar haciendo. Si notan que alguno de sus hijos está haciendo cualquiera de estos comportamientos riesgosos, por favor pongan cuidado y monitoreen su presencia en línea. Hay 9 formas en que los depredadores manipulan a las víctimas. Los halagan, les dan regalos, se comunican mucho, mandan mensajes privados, les dicen cuánto les cuesta de inmediato, quieren aislarlos de familiares o amigos, hablan de temas de adultos, piden fotos inapropiadas y chantajean a las víctimas. El sexting, ¿qué quiere decir el sexting? Es cuando comparten fotos desnudas o sugerentes, pueden meter a las personas en problemas, es permanente, no se tiene que pedir permiso para distribuir y las imágenes se pueden usar para intimidar o chantajear a la víctima y todo esto es contra la ley, especialmente si se trata de un menor de edad. ¿Qué pasa si yo miro que esto está pasando? Es importante que ustedes se mantengan al tanto. chequeen los teléfonos de sus hijos con regularidad. No los dejen que usen redes sociales en las que ustedes no estén presentes. Por ejemplo, si ellos tienen una página de Facebook, asegúrense que usted también la tenga y así usted puede estar monitoreando lo que su hijo o hija hace. Bloqueen o reporten a cualquier persona que esté enviando contenido inapropiado a sus hijos. Guarden la evidencia. Si miran que una persona está chantajeando o haciendo bullying a su hijo o hija, guarde esas evidencias, tome capturas de lo que están enviando, guarde mensajes, llamadas, grábenlas, que siempre haya evidencia y que reporten. La víctima es la víctima. Siempre hay que reportar al predador. Y también asegúrense de que sus hijos no estén compartiendo demasiada información.
Okay, so this is where we left off. So predators are bullies online. Cyberbullying spreads faster. It's a wider audience and follows more children home, and it's more bold than being in person. Like, so a person's not gonna most likely say things online that they wouldn't say in person.
El acoso cibernético es básicamente son los bullies en línea. Se extiende más rápido, audiencia es más amplia y sigue a los niños hasta su casa. Es más audaz porque la gente se esconde detrás de la pantalla, siente que puede decir más cosas y ser más grosero, usar más amenazas porque se aprovechan de que están detrás de la pantalla a que como si estuvieran en persona, tal vez no se animarían a decir tanto.
And if you knew someone would take their life because of cyberbullying, would you still let your child think it's okay to cyberbully or bully in person? So these 4 are all students in Kern County who took their life because they were getting bullied. The most recent one is Sarah, the one on the right. She was 13 and she attended Rosedale Middle School. She was getting bullied and of course took her life. So again, would you let your child think it's okay to cyberbully, even if it was something small?
Si usted conociera a alguien o ha conocido a alguien que se ha quitado la vida, usted dejaría que pensar que sus hijos piensen que el bullying cibernético está bien. La muchacha que está al lado derecho con el nombre de Sara, era una estudiante de 13 años en Rosedale. Esa muchacha fue víctima de cyberbullying y se cortó. I can't see the screen no more.
Can everyone else see it? Mr. Hardman, do you see the screen?
I do.
Hello?
Well, we will have to get Yvette to help us catch up, maybe just listening and sharing back the things.
Should I continue with the next slide?
Let's do continue. And it looks like Yvette's phone dropped us. I'm sure she'll join us back shortly.
Okay. So the cyber golden rule. The cyber golden rule is treat others the way that you would want to be treated online. So let's teach our children to not encourage a bully. So not to like, forward, comment on any posts online. Don't participate to fit in. Let's encourage them to stand up for the victim. Teach your children to safely stand up for what's right. So if they see anything happening, whether that's online or in person, make sure that we teach our children to either report it or if it's a safe environment to do something about it. And or friend them, because maybe the person who's getting bullied doesn't have any friends or doesn't have anyone to have their back in a sense. And to communicate, teach our children to communicate or to come to us or a trusted adult. So we need to try to build that communication with our kids so that way they feel comfortable. Is she in it or should I?
Sí, sorry.
Yes, we also have a question from the Medina family.
I had some technical difficulties. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Ok. Perdón, se me cortó el video de Zoom. Estoy en el teléfono. Se trataba de, hay que enseñarle a nuestros hijos a hacer buenas decisiones, y la regla del cyberbullying es no, I'm not sure how to say encourage. No animarlos a hacer bullying. So, cuando alguien está haciendo bullying a alguien más en línea, que su hijo no le ponga like o no comente o no comparta esa imagen o lo que están diciendo las personas, y que no participe en ese tipo de cosas solamente para caerle bien a otros. Que enséñale a su hijo a que no está bien que esas cosas pasen en línea, y si ellos miran que está pasando, enséñale a sus hijos que está bien si pueden decir, hey, no, eso no está bien, no estés haciendo eso, defender a la víctima, y comunicar con sus hijos, que es importante que le dejen saber a algún adulto lo que está pasando. Si miran que ya sea ellos o un amiguito está siendo víctima de bullying, comunicárselo a sus papás, a los maestros, a su consejero, a algún adulto responsable que les pueda ayudar con eso.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the topic of human trafficking. We're gonna show you a video of this survivor who got human trafficked at a young age. This is in English, so Eva, if you wanna go ahead and translate afterwards to tell briefly what the story is, I'll go ahead and pause after the video.
Okay.
Daughter Hope was young. She was a straight A student. I was a normal, regular kid. I loved to do theater. I loved soccer and cheerleading.
Hope was filled with innocence, joy, and ambition.
When I was 14, my whole life changed.
My daughter Hope was kidnapped by sex traffickers.
It all started because I posted on a social media site that I hated my mother. A woman messaged me back telling me that I could go stay with her and we'd go party. She showed up within the next 45 minutes and I was gone.
The suspects target girls who post comments about a negative home life on social media sites and chat rooms.
The 14-year-old, oh, I hate my mom. She doesn't understand me. I can't wait to get out of here.
That's how police say William Jacobs and Shayla Williams met a young North Texas victim who was just 14 years old.
I walked into the motel room. I see a man sitting in the corner. The first thing that came out of his mouth was, "Take off your clothes so we can take these pictures." And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna take my clothes off. He said, "So you wanna do this the hard way?" He hit me a couple times and after that I was out like light. I woke up in the closet. The closet that I was in was about the size of me right here. After they took me out the closet, they took crushed up pills and they forced them down my throat. After they force fed me pills, I would try to move my body, but I couldn't pick myself up. It made me feel catatonic. After they drugged me, I had my first client.
Okay, Eva, I'll go ahead and let you translate that.
Este video se trató de una historia donde la hija de una mujer fue raptada después de que la muchacha de 14 años en ese entonces hizo comentarios en las redes sociales donde se expresaba mal de su mamá y decía que odiaba a su mamá. Entonces el depredador en ese ejemplo fue una mujer que le mandó un mensaje y le dijo, lo siento mucho, te invito, vámonos de fiesta, yo voy por ti. Y entonces la muchacha aceptó, la mujer llegó a su casa, la recogió y cuando la recogió miró que estaba un hombre en el carro. Entonces el hombre le dijo, ok, quítate la ropa, te voy a tomar unas fotos. Y le dijo la muchacha que no. Entonces el muchacho le dijo, si no quieres por las buenas, pues va a ser por las malas. Y la golpeó, la noqueó inconsciente y se la robó. La tuvieron encerrada en un closet por mucho tiempo. La forzaron a tomar drogas, le dieron pastillas donde ella no podía ni mover su propio cuerpo, estaba acostada en una cama sin poder moverse y fue cuando la empezaron a prostituir.
And then so parents, this was a perfect example of what we went over. Because of what Hope had posted online about talking about her mother and how she hated her, made her a target to the predator. And again, predators aren't always males, they can be females as well. So the type of predator that was in this video was of course a male, however, his, in a sense, assistant was a female.
En este ejemplo, la razón por la cual la niña fue un blanco para un depredador fue porque ella estaba expresando tener problemas en casa con su mamá y eso es algo que se les hace fácil a los depredadores poder convencerlas para que se vayan con engaños. En este caso fue una mujer, como puede ver, cualquier persona puede ser un depredador. Cuando la raptaron al final, pues el encargado era un hombre, pero la asistente era una mujer.
And California is one of the nation's top 4 destinations for human trafficking. It is a $1 billion industry. Back in 2016, the stat was a 9.5 billion industry. However, I'm sure the numbers have gone up since then because of how big it's getting. Bakersfield is actually a hotspot for human trafficking, if you didn't know that already. And we're going to be going over a video that just came out in January in Kern County. And we'll just be playing that video shortly.
California es uno de los estados número 1 en la nación California is one of the nation's top 4. Es uno de los 4 estados que tienen más víctimas de trata de humanos, con 9.5 billones. Esta industria, eso es lo que genera en los Estados Unidos. Y esto es del 2016. Quiere decir que hoy en día tal vez sea un poco más. Bakersfield, por si no lo sabían, es un lugar muy popular para esta industria.
So what is human trafficking? It's not always sex trafficking, but sex trafficking is one of the main traffickings that we see on a day-to-day basis. There also is labor trafficking and domestic servitude. So again, these are all types of human trafficking. Sex trafficking is a force, fraud, or coercion to perform sex acts. It's prostitution, and adults and children are involved. Labor trafficking is a force, fraud, or coercion to perform labor services. So sales crews, agriculture, sweatshops, restaurants, janitorial jobs are all examples of that. And domestic servitude is a force, fraud, or coercion to work in homes. So this is like nannies, housekeeping, mail order brides, all of that.
¿Qué es la trata de personas? No todo el tiempo tiene que ser prostitución, pero esa es la más común. sex trafficking o la prostitución forzada es cuando forzan a las víctimas o las engañan por medio de engaños o fraudes para hacer que empiecen a prostituirse o hacer actos de sexualidad e involucra a adultos y a niños. Otra trata de personas es las labores o los trabajos forzados. Forzan a las personas por medio de fraude o engaños a hacer servicios de labores, trabajos, ya sea vender en la agricultura, en tiendas donde venden como suéteres o restaurantes o a limpiar, pues son forzados y no les pagan. El otro es trabajo doméstico o como que sean sirvientes por medio de que sean forzados o los engañen y cometan fraude para que trabajen en la casa de alguien, ya sea como cuidando niños, limpiando las casas, sin pagarles.
So the 5 ways traffickers groom their victims is they compliment them and they can also offer false job opportunities. We see a lot of that actually during the summer. Keep an eye out for that for your students. There'll be flyers out posted like on poles or even online stating that they specifically want or they're looking for teens in like, I believe it's like when they're 13 to 17 years old, which is a red flag, of course, because any business owner would not want a minor working for them. We all can agree, I'm sure, that you want someone that's going to be mature enough to work, that's capable of, being on their own. So again, that's a huge red flag to look out for. Those jobs are usually easy. So they could be modeling, dancing, anything that's easy like that. Again, keep an eye out for that. They like to step in as a parental figure. They start by creating a bond with them and try to establish trust with them. They'll end up dating a victim and say that they're their boyfriend or girlfriend. And then they'll try to justify it by saying things like, you don't even have to have sex with anyone. It's just one time. I spent a lot of money on you. And that's how it begins.
So estas son las 5 maneras en cómo los traficantes empiezan a engañar a sus víctimas. Empiezan con halagos para promover una reacción en las víctimas. La segunda es empiezan a ofrecerles trabajos falsos, oportunidades falsas. Esto es muy común durante el verano, pongan cuidado. Esto se puede de tomar formas como cuando ponen cartelones en las calles, en los postes, o que un amigo le dice a otro, o les empiezan a mandar mensajes por sus redes sociales, en sus mensajes privados. Y esto involucra que el trabajo es fácil, se trata de bailar, de modelaje, y esto es una bandera roja automáticamente. La mayoría sabemos que ningún trabajo pues profesional o algún trabajo pues que sí se trata de algo serio no quiere a menores de edad, especialmente cuando son niños de 13, 14 años. Normalmente quieren a alguien que ya esté suficientemente maduro y sea responsable para sus trabajos. La otra es cuando empiezan a actuar como si fuera un papá o una mamá para estos niños y empiezan a hacer hacer una relación pues con ellos para tratar de ganar su confianza, especialmente si saben que no se llevan bien con sus papás en casa, empiezan ellos como a tomar ese papel para para tomar la confianza de los niños. Otro es a veces los traficantes posan como, oh, somos novios, tú y yo somos novios, todo está bien, y se la empiezan a creer, pues a las niñas o niños empiezan a mirar a estos traficantes como, ok, sí, es mi novio, es mi novia, usualmente son más mayores que ellos. Y la quinta es, empiezan a justificarse como, nomás vas a hacer eso, pero no tienes que tener relaciones sexuales con nadie, nomás es una vez, o sabes que yo he gastado mucho dinero en ti, necesito que hagas esto.
So who is at risk for this? Runaways and foster care youth. It could be girls from the ages of 12 to 17. Boys actually start at a much younger age. I believe the age is 7, if I'm not mistaken. Anyone who has had prior sex abuse, boys and girls in the LGBTQ committee, widows, single mothers and children, rebellious teens, orphans aged out of the system, group homes, so anyone that didn't get adopted, little or no education, dropouts, illegal residents, and there's so many more that are on this list as well.
So, ¿quién está a riesgo? A las personas como los niños que se van de sus casas, huyen de sus casas, o especialmente los niños que están en el sistema de foster care. Ellos son normalmente el blanco de los traficantes. Es uno de cada 3 personas en el foster care que caen a ser víctimas de esto entre las primeras 48 horas cuando se van de su casa. Lo otro es las niñas entre 12 y 17 años. Los niños empiezan aún más pequeños. O víctimas que han sido sexualmente abusadas en el pasado tienen más riesgo de volver a caer en esto. Niños, niñas que se identifican con la comunidad gay, lesbiana, bisexual, transexual, viudas o madres solteras y sus hijos también son un blanco para estos depredadores. Jovencitos o jovencitas que son rebeldes, niños que han sido, que sus papás han muerto o que quedan huérfanos o estuvieron en el sistema de foster care y ya salieron del sistema de foster care debido a su edad o viven en casas de grupos en ese sistema. Personas que tienen muy poca o no tienen nada de educación o personas que se salen de la escuela, personas que son ilegales en el país y la lista puede continuar. Esto solamente son unos ejemplos, pero no hay un límite.
So now we're going to be going over this video that actually has some information that just came out in January, and this is in Bakersfield that has to do with human trafficking. I'm going to translate that, Yvette, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Este video es de las noticias de este año en enero y es algo que pasó en Bakersfield.
Good evening, Keely. Wilmington Kern County law enforcement officials tell me that they have identified and arrested human traffickers just blocks away from where I am here outside of the local courthouse in downtown Bakersfield. Now that they explain that Kern County's geographical location plays a major role in this growing issue.
Kern County sits at the crossroads of human trafficking for the state as the two main arteries where traffickers move their victims across the state intersect just south of Bakersfield on the 5 and 99 freeways.
It's the county's location why Tyson McCoy, the deputy district attorney for Kern County, explains the high number of trafficking victims that are coming through our area. However, there are also victims being trafficked within the county, many who are very young.
The average age that a victim is lured into trafficking is between 11 and 14 years old. It's very, very young. And it's much more prominent than people realize.
McCoy adds human traffickers prey on a child's need to be cared for and loved and manipulate that to profit off of them. Investigators say human traffickers often contact victims through the internet.
We do both online and street level operations, or we target traffickers who are working to groom and lure victims on the web.
The DA's office tells 23 ABC human trafficking is overwhelmingly underreported, but the exact number of cases per county is not clear. But according to the Kern Coalition Against Human Trafficking, they did see an uptick in calls in the past year.
We've seen a lot of victims trafficked in Kern County over the past year and a year and a half. Real close to from where we're standing at right now. See, Union Avenue is real close to us.
Dustin Contreras with the Kern Coalition Against Human Trafficking explains that along with human trafficking, which they often see as forced sex labor, the coalition is also following labor trafficking reports in the county.
Where it's forced, where maybe someone comes from another country and has their passport taken away, is forced to be a domestic servant, forced to work in ag, forced to work anywhere, and for little to no wages, and against their will.
So again, just keep in mind that this literally can happen anywhere, especially because living in Bakersfield is such a popular location for human trafficking. We need to make sure that we make our students and children aware of all of this, that it is happening everywhere. Because sometimes they might not think that, they might think that this wouldn't happen to them, but again, it could happen to anyone.
El video solamente estaba explicando que habían cachado a unos traficantes de trata de personas a unas cuantas cuadras de donde está la corte, y estaban diciendo que esa área alrededor de allí es muy popular para la prostitución o la trata de personas por la localización que está, pues está a medio de todo. Este solamente fue un ejemplo que esto le puede pasar a cualquiera en cualquier momento, donde sea.
Oh my gosh, it just kept wanting to play. Okay, so why don't they just leave? They might have fear of retribution by traffickers against self or family and friends. There might be a language barrier, there might be a culture barrier, there might be lack of trust to law enforcement. They might be undocumented and they're scared of being deported, which I want to go ahead and emphasize that if they're a victim of human trafficking or a victim of anything, law enforcement will not deport if they're undocumented because they don't care about that. They care about the predator. Lack of knowledge of services, rights of laws. There's nowhere else to go, not as bad as where they were before. They don't self-identify as victims because they're brainwashed to think that they are there by choice. They have food, shelter, a job, so they think that they have it okay. And they think that they might not have resources outside of that. They believe it's their fault for being in this situation, and they develop loyalties and positive feelings towards their trafficker.
La pregunta es, ¿por qué no nomás se van de allí las víctimas? Hay muchas razones. Una de ellas es que tal vez tengan miedo a que les hagan algo a ellas o a su familia o sus amigos. Tal vez el lenguaje, tal vez no entienden el idioma, a veces son de otros países y no hablan el inglés. La cultura es diferente, no entienden lo que está pasando. También puede ser que no tienen confianza en personas fuera de ese lugar o no tienen confianza en la policía o tal vez sean indocumentados o tienen miedo a que sean deportados. Es importante que sepan que aunque las víctimas sean indocumentadas, a eso no les importa a los policías. Lo que importa es su seguridad. En un caso de trata de personas, la persona que es indocumentada no sería deportada. Tal vez sea porque no saben los servicios que hay o sus derechos y las leyes del país, o tal vez es porque no sepan dónde más ir, tal vez piensen que lo tendrán peor a donde vayan o de donde vienen, o ellas mismas no se miran como víctimas. Tal vez miran, oh, pues tengo comida, tengo techo y tengo un trabajo, lo miran tal vez como su trabajo porque les pagan pues cualquier cosa, o piensan que es su culpa por estar en esa situación. Muchas de las veces les son leales al traficante o tienen sentimientos positivos con su traficante.
So what we've noticed is that victims are reluctant to come forward and report abuse. They have lack of awareness about human trafficking, and societal attitudes that perpetuate this problem result in lost opportunities to help victims. And then we always want to make sure that we're careful when we're speaking to victims, or how we're communicating with them, because they don't self-identify as a victim. They really don't want to hear, they don't want to hear that they are a victim, because they're so brainwashed into thinking that they're there because they want to be there. So once they're ready to talk, they'll come out and ask for that help, but we just want to make sure that we build that trust with them and kind of just listen to them and be there for them.
Lo que han notado la policía es que las víctimas muchas veces se rehúsan o no saben si venir y reportar que han sido abusadas o saben de algún tipo de abuso, tal vez porque no tengan el conocimiento de lo que es la trata de personas o cómo la sociedad mira este problema, y también piensan que ellos van a perder oportunidades a causa que han sido víctimas de trata de personas.
So we went over this already, so I'll go ahead and skip through that. And human trafficking can look like domestic violence. Traffickers beat their victims to gain power and control over them. There's call for service regarding domestic violence and often occurs in hotel and motel rooms. Human trafficking victims are loyal to their pimps like a spouse, and most pimps have an intimate relationship with the victims.
La trata de personas es parecido a lo que es la violencia doméstica. El traficante le pega a sus víctimas para obtener poder y control sobre la víctima. Las llamadas para la policía que se tratan de violencia doméstica usualmente pasan en hoteles o moteles. Las víctimas a veces son leales a sus, creo que les dicen padrotes, a los que son como los dueños de las prostitutas o de las personas que están traficando. Como así como la víctima de violencia doméstica es leal a algún esposo o esposa. Muchos de los padrotes o los traficantes tienen relaciones íntimas con la persona, y es por eso que no se atreven a denunciarlo y se mira mucho pues como la violencia doméstica.
Yeah, padrotes is a correct term, so you're doing good.
Okay.
And so that ties into the teen dating violence. So we're going to be going over that next.
Ahora vamos a hablar sobre la violencia en el noviazgo.
So what is teen dating violence? It's a pattern of behavior that exerts power and control over an intimate partner.
So, ¿qué es la violencia en el noviazgo? I'm not sure how to say pattern. Es como un comportamiento que donde hay control y poder sobre una pareja hacia la otra, hacia su pareja.
1 in 3 relationships have experienced the most serious forms of dating abuse and violence, including sexual and physical violence, threats, and or stalking by a partner. There's a stat of 40% of teenage girls ages 14 to 17 say they know someone their age who has been hit or beaten by a boyfriend, which is a huge amount. 1 in 3 is a lot.
Una en 3 personas o relaciones ha experimentado, ha pasado por abusos serios, como cuando están de novios, han pasado por cosas violentas, ya sea abuso sexual o físico, violencia física, o los amenacen, o tal vez los están siguiendo a todas partes. El 40% de los adolescentes, niñas en las edades 14 a 17 años, dicen que han conocido a alguien de su edad que ha sido golpeado por algún novio.
So the types of abuse are physical, verbal, emotional / psychological, and sexual.
Los tipos de abuso incluyen físico, verbal, emocional o sexual.
So physical abuse is examples of that are slapping, hitting, punching, kicking, strangulating, biting, threatening to hit with or without using objects or weapons, breaking things, shoving, throwing things, scratching, and showing aggressive behavior.
So, el abuso físico consiste de dar cachetadas, pegar, pegar con la mano apuñada, patear, estrangular, morder, amenazar con pegarle a alguien o amenazar usando objetos o I'm not sure how to say weapons. Con alguna arma que puedan usar pues para pegarle a alguien, quebrar cosas, empujar a alguien, tirarle cosas a alguien, como encajarle las uñas y rasguñar a alguien o cualquier comportamiento agresivo.
Want to come over tonight?
I got plans, but maybe tomorrow?
Sure thing. Want to come over tonight?
I got plans.
You will come over.
No, I won't.
You will.
I won't.
You will.
So the first little clip was an example of a healthy relationship. The second little clip was an example of course, a negative relationship. And that shows physical abuse.
El primer ejemplo en el video fue un ejemplo de una relación normal. Y el segundo ejemplo fue una relación abusiva y eso demostró un comportamiento agresivo físicamente.
So verbal abuse is yelling, cursing, insulting, threatening, mimicking, saying degrading comments, showing sarcasm, twisting words, guilt-producing statements, demanding, accusations, using sensitive information against you, and also showing harassment.
El abuso verbal es gritarle a alguien, usar malas palabras, insultar a alguien, amenazar a alguien, arremedarlo, hacer comentarios degradantes, usar sarcasmo contra alguien para hacerlo sentir mal, usar las palabras que la persona usó en contra de ellos, hacerlos sentir culpables por algo, que sean muy demandantes, hagan acusaciones y que usen información sensible contra la persona o I don't know how to say harassment. I'm sorry.
It's okay. They get the gist of it.
I haven't seen you in a couple of days. I've missed you.
Aw, I've missed you too.
I haven't seen you in 5 minutes. It feels like a lifetime. What have you been doing without me for 5 whole minutes?
It's been 3 minutes.
So again, the first little clip showed a healthy relationship. The second one was a negative one showing verbal abuse.
El primer ejemplo enseñó una relación normal y la segunda es una relación que es verbalmente abusiva.
Wanna hang out?
I gotta study.
You'll get an A anyway. A for amazing. Wanna hang out?
I gotta study.
You'll get an F anyway. F for stupid.
So again, that second little clip was an example of verbal abuse.
Ese fue otro ejemplo de abuso verbal. La primera era una relación normal, saludable. La segunda era una relación verbalmente agresiva.
So now we're diving into the emotional and psychological abuse. So that's threats of suicide, isolation from friends and family, stalking, harassment, sabotage, double standards, degrading, including social media.
El abuso emocional o psicológico se trata de cuando hacen amenazas con que se van a suicidar o empiezan a aislar a la persona de sus amigos y familia, empiezan a seguir a la persona a todas partes. I don't know how to say harassment and sabotage. O tienen dobles estándares donde, pues yo puedo hacer esto, pero tú no, o empiezan a degradarlos y puede incluir también redes sociales.
We're going to be going over that, these clips showing examples of this as well.
What are you so happy about? She just started following me on Instagram. What are you so nervous about? She just started following me like everywhere.
So the second clip was an example of the girlfriend stalking him. So that's a form of emotional psychological abuse.
El primer video es alguien que está saludable, es una relación que tal vez vaya a empezar apenas, el muchacho está emocionado. La segunda es alguien que empieza a seguir a la persona a todas partes y con su consentimiento. Y me acaban de decir en el chat, acoso, gracias, sí, harassment es acoso.
Thank you.
Wanna hang out later? Me and my boyfriend always have Monday fun day.
Aw. Wanna hang out later?
Me and my boyfriend always have Monday fun day.
Tomorrow?
It's our Tuesday snooze day.
Wednesday?
No friends day.
So that second clip shows an example of the boyfriend secluding her from her other friends. And that's a type of emotional psychological abuse as well.
Este video mostraba un ejemplo también donde la amiga invita a la amiga salir y le dice, no, es que los lunes hacemos esto, pero mañana, ok. El segundo ejemplo muestra a un novio que está intentando todo para aislar a su novia de que salga con sus amigas y eso no es saludable.
I'd be sad if we broke up. I'd be sad too. I'd be so depressed if we ever broke up. I'd throw myself off the step. I would. Don't try to stop me.
So that second clip shows the girlfriend being or stating that she's gonna threaten her own life if he doesn't comply with whatever she wants. And again, that's another form of emotional psychological abuse.
Ese video también mostraba otro ejemplo de una relación saludable emocionalmente y otra que no era saludable emocionalmente o psicológicamente, donde la muchacha está amenazando que si la deja se va a matar.
All right, so sexual abuse. An example of that is intimidation, sexting, threats, or forcing sex, sexually inappropriate acts in private or public.
El otro tipo de abuso es sexual, ya sea por intimidación, por medio del sexting, que es cuando están texteando contenido explícito, o empiezan a amenazarlos y los forzan a tener relaciones sexuales o que sean sexualmente inapropiados en el público sin que la persona quiera.
Show us more photos. Sweet.
Aw, you're showing them my foodie pics.
Show us more photos. Sweet.
What? You're showing them my booty pics?
So the first clip was the boyfriend showing his friends pictures of photos of foods that she takes and sharing those with his friends. The second little clip was him sharing her nudes to his friends, and that's a form of sexual abuse.
En el primer ejemplo es un novio enseñándole las comidas que pone su novia a sus amigos, y la segunda era a su novio enseñándole las fotos íntimas que la novia le comparte a él, a sus amigos.
So the cycle of abuse starts with the honeymoon phase. They're all lovey-dovey, they're great, it's the beginning of the relationship. That moves into tension building, so the feeling of walking on eggshells around them, you don't know, not knowing if they're gonna blow up or if they're in a good mood. Then it moves into an explosive incident, whether that's hitting like walls or hitting them, anything physical like that, or even blowing up with like a temper. And then it moves into the apology and the calm. So apologizing, saying, I'm so sorry, babe, but like, I didn't mean it. I would never do that again. And then it continues again. So the honeymoon phase, all lovey-dovey, the tension building, the explosive incident, and the apology and the calm, and then it literally goes around in a cycle of abuse.
El ciclo de abuso empieza con la luna de miel, donde todo está bien, es amoroso, y luego empieza la tensión, parecen como que están evitando cualquier cosa porque todo a todo le parece mal a la pareja. El tercero es cuando ya viene el incidente explosivo, empiezan a alegar o le empiezan a golpear, y ya después viene otra vez oh, discúlpame, ya todo empieza calmándose, y luego otra vez de nuevo ya con la luna de miel, y es cosa de nunca acabar.
So if you're a victim, keep in mind that it's not your fault. An abuser will want to think that you have something to lose or that it's your fault, so that you would feel stuck or trapped. That's not true. You are a victim. Evaluate your relationship. So be honest with yourself about any warning signs that are present. Weigh what this relationship is costing you. Set boundaries. So practice saying no and refusal skills. no key unhealthy phrases like, if you love me, you would. Don't do things you're not ready to do. Tell someone, so tell a trusted adult that can help you. Maintain protective factors. If you believe someone is capable of what they're threatening, create an escape plan or stay where you are safe while you communicate, and make sure to report it to law enforcement. Break it off. So if you see warning signs, the sooner the better to leave that relationship. Don't let the toxic bond strengthen. So we need to make sure that we explain this to our kids. Any of these red flags that we discussed in the prior slides, make sure that we discuss those and we show our students that.
Si usted o su hijo o hija es una víctima, hay que reconocer que no es su culpa. El abusador va a querer que usted piense que es su culpa, si algo o que tiene usted algo que perder, o que tiene pues usted la culpa de todo lo que esté pasando, y si siente atrapado, eso no es cierto. Usted es una víctima y sí hay una salida. Evalúen su relación, sean honestos consigo mismo. Si miran cualquier banderas rojas, algo que no esté bien, que esté presente, empiecen a ver pues su relación, que les está costando a ustedes. Empiecen a poner límites. Practiquen diciendo no, o no voy a hacer eso. Esto es no key unhealthy. Hay cosas que se dicen que automáticamente no están bien, y como si tú me quieres, tú harías esto, o no hagas eso porque si tú me quisieras no lo harías. Reconozca que hay cosas pues que no van con ustedes, o no están bien, y no hagan cosas que no quieren hacer. Díganle a alguien. Es importante que sus hijos sepan decirle a un adulto, y cualquier adulto les puede ayudar. Maintain protective factors. Sean protectores. Si usted cree que alguien es culpable, que sí hagan de lo que están amenazando. Hagan planes para escapar o quedarse en un lugar seguro mientras se comunican para recibir ayuda con alguien, o reportarlo a las autoridades. Y también dejar esa relación. Si mira cualquiera de estas banderas rojas, signos de aviso, lo más pronto que dejen esa relación, es lo mejor, porque si no, esto va a seguir haciendo una relación tóxica más larga y más duradera, más difícil de salir. Si ustedes empiezan a notar en sus hijos, avísenle, eso no está bien, puedes hablar conmigo, avísenme. Como consejera, sí me ha tocado mirar ya estas cosas en nuestros niños, principalmente los del 8 grado, ya empiezan a tener relaciones con otras personas, empiezan a formar noviazgos, y es una edad muy importante donde ustedes tienen que empezar a hablar de lo que es aceptable e inaceptable en una relación. So I just shared a little bit of what I see as a counselor, specifically with the 8th graders. They're starting to form relationships romantically with other students, and this is a crucial age for parents to start informing them about boundaries, what's okay and what's not okay, because I've started seeing some toxic traits already in some of these relationships.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Yes. So if you are a friend or a family of a victim, make sure that you just listen. So we kind of went over that earlier with the human trafficking victims. Sometimes the victim needs to talk it out in their head, but telling them what to do is what their abuser does. So they don't want to hear that. They need to identify the problem themselves. Even though you don't believe them, at least try, or yes, try to believe them, but act like you believe them if you don't. Don't assume because your perception of the abuser does not match the victim's story that they are overreacting. Take them seriously, especially if they're telling you that they're experiencing any of that. Express concern, but don't tell them what to do. And develop a safety plan because victims are scared to leave and they may attempt to leave more than once. An abuser could try to stop them and things could get dangerous. Giving private personal documents to a friend before leaving or having things moved or packed in advance could help the victim as well. Talk to them in person. So text messaging and phone calls may not always be private. Know that the only way you can communicate safely is in person because you don't know if they're around their abuser or not. Be supportive and be understanding. A victim might have mixed feelings because of their relationship with their abuser.
Si usted conoce a un amigo familiar que es víctima de violencia, escúchelos. A veces la víctima solamente necesita que alguien lo escuche. Ellos están cansados de que les digan qué hacer, porque eso es lo que hace su pareja, siempre le están diciendo qué hacer. Entonces, ellos necesitan identificar el problema ellos mismos o ellos solamente a veces necesitan que los escuchen. Créale, no asume que solamente por su percepción del abusador, eso no es lo que, no va con lo que está diciendo la víctima. O tal vez piensen que estén sobre pensando las cosas o sobre reaccionando. Tómenlos en serio, aunque a veces no les crean, solamente por lo menos actúen como que les creen, se están abriendo con ustedes por alguna razón y solamente necesitan eso, que les den confianza, alguien de confianza y que alguien los escuche. Exprese su preocupación, pero no les diga lo que tengan que hacer. Hablen con ellos en persona. Por mensaje o llamadas, no es muy privado eso. A veces el abusador está monitoreando los mensajes de la persona o está escuchando y la manera más segura es de comunicarse en persona, en un lugar seguro. Hacer un plan de seguridad con la víctima. A veces las víctimas tienen miedo a irse de casa porque piensan que al irse algo malo va a pasar y tratan a veces más de una vez. Un abusador puede tratar de pararlos para que no se vayan o las cosas se pueden poner muy graves. Darle a la víctima le puede dar documentos personales a alguna amistad cercana o un familiar antes de irse o empacar sus cosas en adelante para que así ellos ya puedan nomás salirse solos más fácil y apoyarlos, tratar de entenderlos. La víctima a veces puede tener emociones mixtas hacia su abusador porque tiene una relación con esta persona.
So do you know an abuser, after listening to all of these red flags and warning signs, and you happen to know that someone is actually doing all of these or is getting to that point, make sure you express your concern to them. An abuser might be more willing to change if family tells them that they are hurting someone that they love, even if they don't see that at the time. They might think it's normal given how they grew up. Encourage them to seek help. Abuse can be part of a larger problem that can be treated with counseling. So have them seek counseling. Maybe that would help them. Again, especially if they don't know that they are creating a problem for their partner. Tell someone that can help. Let friends or family know you are concerned and to also look out for that person. Maintain safety measures. Don't enter into heated discussions that can lead to an unsafe environment, and don't antagonize.
Si usted conoce a algún abusador, puede expresar sus preocupaciones con el abusador y animarlos, a motivarlos a que cambien. Si algún familiar les comenta pues que los están lastimando. También anímelos a que busquen ayuda. El abuso puede ser parte de un problema más grande que puede ser tratado con consejería. Decirle a alguien que le pueden ayudar, amigos o familiares, si están preocupados, pueden decirle a esa otra persona, algún familiar de esa persona, pues que hablen con ellos o que los cuiden. También mantener la seguridad, no entrar en discusiones con las personas. Esto puede hacer las cosas peor o crear un lugar que no esté seguro.
So in the next slide, I'm going to be showing a small little clip of a famous TikTok couple that actually went through domestic violence. And they were famous for posting relationship videos about like how perfect the relationship was. And it's a perfect example of, one, it's not always like social media isn't always true. It's not always what it looks like. And it's important to know that there are resources out there. And then all of the red flags that we stated during this whole presentation to look out for. This is exactly what went on, basically.
Users on TikTok are analyzing social media personality Ana Abilaban's old videos in the wake of her death. Abilaban was killed, along with a companion, after reportedly seeking a restraining order against her husband. TikTok star Jinkid. Ali Abilaban allegedly drove to the apartment he shared with his wife and shot her along with her companion. Days before, Ana had accused him of domestic violence. Users flocked to their old videos on social media, noting how nothing you see online is the full story.
So knowing that there are resources out there, I mean, who knows what the story was between them two, but they could have easily sought help, or she could have sought help if she knew. Maybe she could have avoided all of this.
Este ejemplo fue de una pareja en la vida real que usaban mucho el TikTok y compartían videos juntos sobre lo perfecto que era su relación, pero después descubrieron pues que el muchacho mató a su novia o a su esposa, era su esposa, y los usuarios de TikTok empezaron a observar pues sus videos y muestra pues que no, nada de lo que sale en línea es verdad. A veces no es la realidad de las cosas que en verdad están pasando.
And so these are some of the resources here in Kern County that relate to domestic violence, human trafficking. If you guys want to go ahead and take a screenshot of these numbers, they are perfect to have in case you know someone or are a victim yourself.
Estos son recursos en el área del condado de Kern. Si usted o alguien que usted conoce es víctima de trata de, perdón, de abuso doméstico, estos son los recursos que están disponibles para ayudar.
And so just to wrap it up, going over everything again, predators are in the internet, they are in human trafficking, and they are in teen dating violence or in dating in general. So it's important to see if you see those red flags to report it, seek for help, make sure you contact those resources that are available there, and to make sure you are keeping up with your children's social media. Just make sure that you guys are aware yourselves as well as your children.
El punto final, tengan mucho cuidado con las redes sociales de sus hijos. El segundo punto es la trata de personas. Estén monitoreando a sus hijos en las redes sociales, y también hablamos sobre la violencia en el noviazgo. Tengan una relación con sus hijos para que sus hijos tengan confianza en usted y puedan venir con cualquier problema y empiecen a educar a lo que está bien y lo que está mal en una relación.
Alrighty, and then if you guys have any questions for me, this is your time to ask them. I know someone had a question earlier, and we just wanted to go ahead and zoom through these because the translating was going to take a lot more time in the presentation, and I didn't want to overwhelm everyone. But if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them.
Aquí está la información de la oficina de sheriffs de Kern. Si tienen más preguntas, también pueden llamar aquí o hacer sus preguntas ahorita y se las contestamos.
Well, we will stay on, and if anyone has any questions. If you do not, we thank you for attending our evening special meeting tonight with Kern County Sheriff's Department. Gracias por atender este evento especial. And we will see you and your families tomorrow, but feel free to stay on for those questions if you have any.
Si ya no tiene preguntas, entonces es todo por hoy. Muchas gracias a los que asistieron. Maria said thank you for all the information. Gracias, María, por asistir.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Garcia. We very much appreciate all of your hard work in presenting that to us tonight. That's a lot of information.
That's a lot.
Also, huge shout out, since our original translation plan didn't make it. She stepped out of what she was doing tonight to join us and help us out. Thank you very much, Ms. Ruiz, for taking a couple hours out.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. You did good. It's so hard to translate all of that information. I've tried myself and I was like, I need to practice more. So I was like, there's no way I could do it. You did way better than I could have ever. So thank you.
Thank you. It's just the big educational words that I still struggle with. I always tell my parents, I speak street Spanish, the one that my parents taught me, but not the one from school.
Yes, no. And then law enforcement is a whole different type of Spanish that you have to learn too. So
yeah,
it's definitely hard.
We have a couple parents on the chat just saying thank you for everything. And all this information has been very valuable.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you guys took something from this presentation. And we'll see you again when you guys schedule us. I don't think we have anything else scheduled coming up, right?
Not at the moment.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Have a good night. Que tengan buenas noches.
Bye.